I wasn't trying to be disrespectful to our relationship. That's what I keep telling people when they look at me with judgment in their eyes and shake their heads disapprovingly. I was just being practical and thinking strategically ahead about my future and what could happen. Making smart decisions about my emotional security and well-being. Protecting myself in case things didn't work out the way I hoped they would with Jason. When I told him I wanted a backup boyfriend for safety, I was being honest about my emotional needs and concerns about the future. I was expressing that I needed security and options in case our relationship failed, like so many relationships do these days. I thought he'd understand that I was just being realistic about modern relationships and how often they end badly and unexpectedly, without warning signs. And honestly, lots of people have backup plans for important things in life. You have backup career options in case your job doesn't work out. Backup housing plans in case you need to move suddenly. Backup financial strategies in case investments fail. Why not backup relationship options? It seemed logical and practical to me at the time I suggested it. She shifts uncomfortably, starting to see her mistake, but still defensive. Everyone keeps telling me I was treating him like he was disposable. That what I said was insulting and showed I never really valued him or our relationship at all, that I deserved what happened. But they don't understand I was just trying to protect myself from potential heartbreak and devastation. I was being smart and strategic about my romantic future. And somehow, I'm the villain in this story because he took my words seriously and literally and found his own backup options. Before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit hype to boost this episode. Drop a comment below with your city or country. I'm always curious where viewers are joining from. Let me explain what actually happened from beginning to end, so you understand why the situation is more complicated than everyone makes it seem when they hear the basic story without context. My name is Melissa. I was in a relationship with my boyfriend Jason for about 1.5 years total. Was in a relationship, past tense, because everything fell apart completely 5 weeks ago over what I genuinely thought was just practical planning for my emotional future and security. Jason is successful by most objective measures. He works in finance as an investment analyst for a major firm downtown in the financial district, makes around $95,000 a year base salary, with substantial bonuses that can push him over $120,000 in good years when the market performs well. He's attractive by conventional standards, intelligent with a graduate degree in finance, stable with good credit, reliable, responsible with money, good at long-term planning. We had what I thought was a good solid relationship with real potential. Living together for about 3 months in his nice 2-bedroom condo downtown with parking and amenities and a nice view. Talking about our future together seriously and making actual plans. Building what seemed like something solid and meaningful with real potential for marriage eventually. But I've always been someone who plans ahead, meticulously, and thinks strategically about everything in my life. I don't like being caught off guard or unprepared for bad outcomes that could happen. I like having backup plans and safety nets for everything important in my life. It's just how I'm wired psychologically. I plan for worst-case scenarios constantly in every area of my life, from career to finances to relationships. About 2 months before everything fell apart, I was having coffee at our usual spot downtown with my close friend Rebecca. She'd just gone through a terrible, devastating breakup where her boyfriend of 3 years left her suddenly and unexpectedly for someone else he'd met at work and had apparently been seeing secretly. She was devastated, completely unprepared emotionally, alone, heartbroken, struggling to function day to day. "I never saw it coming at all," she said, crying into her coffee cup at the coffee shop while other customers tried not to stare. "I thought we'd get married eventually. We talked about it seriously multiple times. We'd looked at rings together. I had no backup plan or exit strategy at all. Now I'm alone and starting over from scratch at 32 years old. Watching her pain and devastation made me think seriously about my own relationship with Jason and what would happen if he left me. What if he left me suddenly, like Rebecca's boyfriend did to her? What if things didn't work out despite everything seeming good now? Would I be devastated and alone like Rebecca with no one and no plan for moving forward? I decided right then, sitting in that coffee shop, that I needed a safety net, a backup plan, someone who could potentially step in if Jason and I didn't work out for whatever reason might happen. I started thinking strategically about guys I knew who might be interested in me romantically if I became available. My coworker Marcus had always been flirty and made comments about how, if I was ever single, he'd definitely ask me out in a heartbeat. My friend's brother David had asked me out before I started dating Jason and said he'd wait for me because he really liked me and thought we'd be good together. My gym trainer Kyle definitely seemed interested based on how he looked at me during sessions and found excuses to touch me and adjust my form during training sessions. I didn't do anything inappropriate with any of them at that point. I just kept them in mind as potential options, as backups in case I needed them for emotional security if things with Jason didn't work out. But I felt guilty keeping this to myself and not being transparent with Jason about my backup plan. I believe strongly in honesty in relationships and open communication about everything. So I decided to talk to Jason about my backup plan directly and get it out in the open. One evening, while we were having dinner at home together, I brought it up carefully while we ate pasta I'd made. "I've been thinking about something important," I said while twirling pasta on my fork. "What's that?" Jason asked, taking a sip of wine. "About our relationship and the future, and how things could potentially go wrong, even when they seem good." "Okay. What about it specifically?" He looked curious but not concerned yet. "I love what we have together right now, but I've been watching my friend Rebecca go through this terrible, devastating breakup, and it made me realize I need to be more strategic about protecting myself emotionally and planning ahead for different scenarios that could happen." Jason looked confused and set down his fork. "What do you mean by that?" "I think I need a backup boyfriend for safety purposes, for emotional security, just in case things don't work out between us for whatever reason might happen in the future." Jason set down his fork very slowly and deliberately, his expression changing. "A backup boyfriend?" "Yeah, someone who I could potentially date if we break up, so I'm not alone and devastated like Rebecca is right now, going through her breakup with no one." "You want to have another guy lined up waiting in the wings in case we break up?" "Not actively date them right now, obviously. Just have them as an option available. A safety net for emotional security if things go wrong between us." "That's called having a backup boyfriend." "Exactly. It's just smart strategic planning for my emotional future and protection against being alone." Jason stared at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. His jaw was tight. "You realize how that sounds to me when you say it out loud?" "It sounds practical and strategic and smart to me." "It sounds like you don't think we're going to last as a couple, like you're already planning our breakup." "I'm just being realistic about statistics and probability. Most relationships end eventually. The majority of couples break up before marriage. I want to be prepared and protected emotionally for that possibility. By having another guy waiting in the wings ready to replace me instantly. It's not like that at all. I just want options available if things don't work out between us for some reason." "If you're already planning for us not to work out, why are we even together right now? Why are we living together?" "Because I want us to work out, obviously, but I also want to be smart and prepared if we don't. It's just good planning and being realistic about possibilities." Jason went quiet, finished his dinner in complete silence without looking at me. I thought the conversation was over and done with and we could move on. But over the next few days, Jason seemed different, distant, thoughtful, preoccupied with something. He'd look at me strangely sometimes, like he was seeing me differently or thinking about something. "Are you okay?" I asked one evening, when I noticed his behavior change. Just thinking about what you said, about backup boyfriends and safety nets and planning for our relationship to fail. I didn't mean to upset you with that conversation. You didn't upset me exactly. You just made me realize something important that I hadn't considered before. What did you realize? That if you need a backup plan for our relationship, maybe I do too. Maybe I should protect myself too. What do you mean by that? If you're keeping guys on standby in case we don't work out, why shouldn't I have backup girlfriends for the same reason? Why shouldn't I protect myself emotionally too? I felt a sharp flash of jealousy immediately course through me. That's different. How is it different exactly? Explain it to me. I'm just being practical about my future emotional security. And I'd be doing the exact same thing, being practical about my future and protecting myself. I don't like the idea of you having backup girlfriends waiting in case we break up. But you want backup boyfriends for yourself? That's different. I need emotional security because I'm more vulnerable emotionally than men are. And I don't need emotional security. Men don't have feelings. I didn't have a good answer to that question that made any sense. Over the next few weeks, Jason seemed to be on his phone significantly more than usual, texting people frequently, throughout the day and evening constantly, smiling at his screen often while typing, going out more often than he used to, several nights a week instead of staying home with me. "Where are you going tonight?" I asked one Saturday evening when he was getting dressed to go out in nice clothes. "Meeting some friends for drinks downtown at that new bar that opened." "Which friends specifically?" "Just some people I know from work and around. I'll be back later tonight, probably around midnight or so." He came home that night around midnight as promised and seemed happy, energized, upbeat, like he'd had a great time out without me. "How were drinks with friends?" I asked from the couch where I'd been watching TV alone. "Really good, actually. Met some interesting new people tonight at the bar." "Who did you meet?" "Just friends. New friends I'm getting to know better." I felt uneasy about it, but I didn't push further and ask more questions. I'd been the one who brought up backup plans first. I couldn't complain about him having an active social life now or going out without me. This pattern continued for weeks. Jason would go out multiple times a week to bars and events. He'd be on his phone constantly texting and smiling. He seemed happier and more energized than he'd been in months, lighter somehow. I started to feel jealous and insecure. "Who are you texting all the time?" "Just friends and people I know." "What friends?" "New friends I've been meeting when I go out." "Are they women?" "Some of them are women, yes." "Are you interested in them?" "I'm just being social and making connections, like you suggested with your backup boyfriend plan." I didn't like it, but I couldn't argue against it without being a complete hypocrite. Then, 3 weeks ago, Jason came home from work and announced we needed to have a serious talk about our relationship. "I've been thinking a lot about what you said, about backup relationships and safety nets and protecting ourselves emotionally." "Okay," I said nervously, sensing something was coming. "And I've decided you're absolutely right. It is smart to have backup plans in relationships for emotional security. I'm glad you understand my perspective now and see why I suggested it. So I've lined up some backup girlfriends for myself, for safety, just in case we don't work out like you're planning for with your backup boyfriends." My stomach dropped instantly, like I'd been punched. "You what?" "I found 2 women who are interested in potentially dating me if we break up, so I have options available for emotional security, like you wanted for yourself." "I didn't mean you should actually do that." "Why not? You said it was smart planning and being realistic. I'm just following your logic to its natural conclusion." "Who are these women?" "Their names are Sarah and Emma. I met them both over the past few weeks while I was out at bars and events downtown. They know about you and our relationship, and they're fine with being backup options waiting for me." "You told them about me and our relationship?" "Of course I told them. I'm being honest and transparent like you were with me about your backup boyfriends." They understand that I'm in a relationship currently but looking for backup options in case it doesn't work out. This is completely different from what I meant when I brought it up. How is it different? Explain it to me. You wanted backup boyfriends for safety. I have backup girlfriends for safety. It's exactly the same thing. I feel disrespected by this. And how do you think I felt when you told me you wanted backup boyfriends? Like I was disposable. Like you were already planning for us to fail. Like I wasn't good enough. I started crying because I was starting to see what I'd done to him. I didn't mean it like that at all. Then how did you mean it exactly? Explain it to me. I just wanted security for my emotional future in case something went wrong. And now I have security too. 2 backup options who are interested in me romantically. So if we break up, I'm not alone and devastated. I don't want you talking to other women like that. But you want to keep backup boyfriends available for yourself. That's different. It's not different at all. It's the exact same thing. You just don't like it when I do it to you. We fought intensely for hours that night, back and forth and around in circles. I said his backup girlfriends were different from my backup boyfriends. He said they were exactly the same thing with no difference. I said I was just being practical. He said he was too. Finally, exhausted around midnight, I said, "Fine. If you have backup girlfriends, I'm actively finding and meeting backup boyfriends starting tomorrow. Go ahead. I already told you it was a good idea to have backups for emotional security." So I did exactly that. I reached out to Marcus at work the next day and told him I might be interested in dating him if things didn't work out with Jason. He was enthusiastic and very interested and suggested we get coffee. I contacted David through my friend and told him the same thing. He said he'd been waiting for me all this time and was thrilled I was considering him. Jason and I started comparing our backup options like it was some kind of sick, twisted competition. "Sarah is a lawyer at a top firm downtown," he'd say casually over breakfast. "Really successful and attractive, makes over $150,000 a year with bonuses. Marcus is in marketing management and makes 6 figures," I'd counter. "He's very successful too, and has been promoted twice. Emma teaches yoga and runs her own studio with multiple locations. Very fit and flexible. Really beautiful and centered. David owns his own consulting business and is very entrepreneurial. Very ambitious and driven." It became toxic incredibly quickly. We were both maintaining these backup relationships with other people while still living together and supposedly being a couple in a committed relationship. It was bizarre and unhealthy and fundamentally wrong, but we couldn't stop. We'd have conversations about our backups over dinner, like it was normal. "Sarah texted me today," Jason would say casually while eating. "She wants to meet for coffee this week to get to know me better." "Are you going to go?" I'd ask, feeling jealous and angry. "Probably. I should maintain the backup relationship and keep her interested." "Well, David asked me to dinner this weekend at a nice restaurant. Are you going?" "Maybe. I need to maintain my backups too and keep them as options." It was insane. Completely insane. But we were both committed to this twisted logic now and couldn't back down. I went to coffee with Marcus. He was charming and funny, and clearly interested in me. He talked about how he'd been attracted to me since I started at the company, how he'd been waiting for me to be available. "I really like you," Marcus said at coffee. "I've been hoping you'd be single for a while now." "Well, I'm not technically single yet," I said awkwardly, "but you're looking for backups, right?" "That's what you said." "Yes, just in case things don't work out with Jason." "Do you think they won't work out?" "I don't know. I'm just being practical and prepared." Marcus reached across the table and took my hand. "Well, I'm here whenever you need me." I felt a confusing mix of flattery and guilt. Jason went to coffee with Sarah. He told me about it afterward in detail, which hurt. "She was really impressive," he said. "We talked for 2 hours about everything. She's incredibly intelligent and successful." "That's great," I said sarcastically. She asked if I was happy in my current relationship. "What did you say?" "I said I was with someone who's already planning for us to fail." That stung. I went to dinner with David at an expensive Italian restaurant downtown. He was attentive and complimentary all night. "You look beautiful," he said when I arrived. "Thank you. I've been waiting for this opportunity for years. I'm still with Jason technically. But not for long if you're looking for backups, right?" We talked about his business expansion plans. He was ambitious and successful. He held my hand across the table during dessert. "I could make you really happy," he said. "Happier than Jason makes you." "You don't know that. I've watched you with him at parties. You don't seem fully satisfied." He was right, but I didn't want to admit it. Jason met Emma for drinks at a wine bar. He came home late, around 11 p.m., smelling like wine and perfume. "How was Emma?" I asked coldly. "Great. We went to her yoga studio after drinks. She showed me some advanced poses." I bet she did. She's very flexible and peaceful, really centered, the opposite of all this drama we have. So I'm the dramatic one now. You started this whole backup plan thing. And you ran with it. Because you made me feel disposable. We fought until 2 a.m. that night. Then 2 weeks ago, Jason came home with the announcement that changed everything. "I think we should meet each other's backup options. For full transparency and honesty." "What?" "No. If we're both doing this backup plan thing, we should meet the people who might replace us. It's only fair and honest." "I don't want to meet Sarah and Emma. And I don't particularly want to meet Marcus and David. But if we're being honest about backup plans, we should be fully honest and transparent about everything." I reluctantly agreed, not knowing what else to do without being a complete hypocrite about the whole situation. Jason invited Sarah and Emma over for dinner the next Friday night at our condo. I was absolutely horrified by the idea of meeting them. "You invited your backup girlfriends to our home?" "Yes, and you should invite Marcus and David too. Make it a dinner party with all the backups present so we can all meet each other." "This is completely insane. This is what you wanted. Backup plans, honesty, transparency. Let's do it properly and meet everyone." I couldn't invite Marcus and David without looking like a total hypocrite about the whole thing. So I sent them both invitations to dinner at our place Friday night at 7 p.m. I spent the week dreading Friday. What would we even talk about? How do you make small talk with the people who might replace you in your boyfriend's life? Friday night arrived. I spent all day cooking and preparing an elaborate meal, feeling sick about what was going to happen. I made roasted chicken, roasted vegetables, a fancy salad, homemade bread, and tiramisu for dessert. Sarah and Emma showed up together around 7 p.m. sharp, which was awkward from the start. Both were beautiful, successful, confident women in their late 20s. They greeted me warmly, like this was completely normal. Sarah was tall, probably 5'9", blonde with perfectly styled hair, athletic-looking with perfect posture, dressed professionally in expensive designer clothes that probably cost more than my monthly rent. She carried herself like someone used to being the most impressive person in the room. Emma was shorter, maybe 5'4", brunette with long hair in a braid, graceful with a dancer's body, dressed in casual but stylish yoga wear that showed off her incredible toned figure. She had this peaceful Zen energy that was immediately apparent. Marcus and David arrived separately within minutes of each other. Marcus brought expensive wine that probably cost $50 or more based on the label. David brought a beautiful bouquet of flowers that must have cost at least $30. For me or for the hosts, I wasn't entirely sure. We all sat down at our dining table for what became the most awkward dinner of my entire life. Jason introduced Sarah and Emma to me formally, like we were at a business meeting. "Melissa, these are my backup girlfriends, in case you and I don't work out. Sarah is a corporate lawyer at a major firm. Emma owns a yoga studio with 3 locations around the city." I introduced Marcus and David to Jason, trying to match his casual tone. "Jason, these are my backup boyfriends in case we don't work out. Marcus works in marketing management at a tech company. David owns his own consulting business. Sarah smiled at me warmly and extended her hand professionally for a handshake. This is such an interesting arrangement, very modern and practical and forward-thinking. I appreciate the honesty. Emma nodded in agreement and also shook my hand. I really appreciate the transparency. Most people aren't this open about backup plans and emotional security needs. Marcus looked uncomfortable with the situation and kept shifting in his seat nervously. I've never been a backup boyfriend before. This is definitely new territory for me. David seemed genuinely confused about the whole thing and kept looking around at everyone. So you're all just planning for the relationship to fail? Is that what this is? That seems counterproductive. We're being realistic about statistics, I said, though I was starting to seriously question everything about this situation and whether it made any sense at all. Jason asked Sarah about her work. She talked extensively and impressively about being a corporate lawyer, handling major merger and acquisition cases worth hundreds of millions of dollars. She was articulate, impressive, clearly very successful and intelligent, and driven and ambitious. I just closed a deal worth $300 million last month, she said casually. It was challenging but rewarding work. Emma talked about her yoga studio and her wellness philosophy and her approach to life and mindfulness and meditation and finding inner peace. She was beautiful and centered and peaceful and inspiring to listen to. I believe in finding balance and presence in every moment, Emma said. Yoga taught me that you can't control the future, only how you show up in the present. I caught the irony of that statement given our situation, but didn't comment. I watched Jason talking to them easily and laughing at their jokes and seeming genuinely interested in what they were saying and felt physically sick. These were women who could easily replace me, who maybe were actually better than me in significant ways that mattered. Then Jason turned his attention to Marcus and David. So, what makes you specifically interested in Melissa? Marcus talked about finding me attractive and intelligent and fun to be around at work and in social situations. David talked about having admired me for years and waiting patiently for his chance to be with me. Jason nodded, like he was interviewing my potential replacements at a job interview. That's good to know. She's a great person with a lot of wonderful qualities. Whoever gets her, if we break up, will be very lucky indeed. I wanted to cry right there at the table. This had spiraled completely out of control, and I didn't know how to stop it. We ate dinner, making awkward small talk about work and hobbies and interests. Sarah talked about her recent case involving a corporate merger between two major companies. Emma talked about a new meditation technique she was teaching at her studio. Marcus talked about a marketing campaign he was working on for a major client launching a new product. David talked about his business expansion plans to open offices in 3 new cities over the next year. Jason and I barely spoke to each other directly. We were too busy talking to our respective backup options and getting to know them better and making them feel welcome. After dinner, as we were cleaning up in the kitchen while the others talked in the living room, Jason pulled me aside. So, what do you think of my backup options? They're both great, obviously very impressive women who have their lives together. Better than you expected. What's your point with this question? My point is that I can replace you easily, just like you were planning to replace me easily with your backup boyfriends. I wasn't planning to replace you, weren't you? That's what a backup plan is fundamentally. A replacement waiting in the wings ready to step in when needed. I just wanted security for my emotions. By making me feel disposable and replaceable. By telling me you were already planning for us to fail. I didn't mean it like that. But that's how it felt to me. And now you know exactly how it feels because you met my backups who could replace you easily. After everyone left that night around 11 p.m., Jason and I had another huge fight that lasted until 3 a.m. Your backup girlfriends are both amazing and impressive, I said bitterly. Congratulations on finding such great replacements for me. Your backup boyfriends seem very interested in you too. This whole thing is insane. We shouldn't be doing this to each other. You're the one who suggested backup plans in the first place. I didn't mean it should go this far with us actually meeting them and having dinner together. Then where should it stop? You wanted backups. We have backups. What's the problem now? The problem is, I don't want you with other women thinking about replacing me. But you want to keep other men as options for replacing me. That's different. It's not different at all. The next day, Jason told me he wanted to break up immediately. I can't be with someone who's already planning our failure, he said calmly, over coffee in our kitchen. I wasn't planning our failure. You literally wanted backup boyfriends for when we inevitably broke up. That's planning for failure from the start. I was just being practical about protecting myself emotionally. You were being disrespectful to our relationship. You were treating me like I was temporary, like I was disposable and replaceable at any moment. You did the exact same thing with Sarah and Emma. Because you started it, I was showing you how it feels to be treated as disposable and replaceable. So you found backup girlfriends just to make a point. I found them to show you how insulting your backup boyfriend plan was. And now I'm choosing one of them over you. My heart stopped completely. What? I'm going to start dating Sarah. She's interested and available, and she doesn't need backup plans because she actually commits to relationships fully without keeping escape routes open. You're leaving me for your backup girlfriend. I'm leaving you because you never fully committed to me from the start. Sarah is just who I'm going to date next. This isn't fair at all. You wanted backup plans. I made backup plans. Now I'm using one. This is exactly what you suggested we do. I tried to argue, to beg, to explain that I'd made a terrible mistake and didn't mean any of it and wanted to start over. But Jason was completely done with me. He asked me to move out within 2 weeks. I moved out a month ago. I'm staying with Rebecca, ironically, the friend whose devastating breakup had inspired my backup boyfriend idea in the first place. I can't believe this happened to you too, Rebecca said, when I moved in crying with boxes of my stuff. I ruined everything by wanting backup boyfriends. I'm sorry my breakup gave you such a terrible idea. It's not your fault. I did this entirely to myself. Jason is now dating Sarah. They post photos together on social media regularly, going to nice restaurants, attending charity events, taking weekend trips to wine country. They look genuinely happy together, building something real without backup plans. I reached out to Marcus and David, my backup boyfriends. Neither was interested anymore. I felt like a placeholder, Marcus said when I called him after the breakup crying. Like you were just keeping me around in case something better fell through. That's not a good feeling for anyone. I don't want to be someone's backup plan, David said when I texted asking if we could get dinner. I want to be someone's first choice. Always. You made me feel like a second option. So I lost Jason and my backups. I'm completely alone now with no options. My friends are split on whether I deserved this outcome. Rebecca thinks Jason was deliberately cruel. He found backup girlfriends just to hurt you and prove a point about how wrong your idea was. My other friend Michelle thinks I got exactly what I deserved. You told him you were planning to replace him. Of course he left you for someone who wouldn't do that. My therapist asks hard, probing questions every session. Why did you need backup boyfriends? For security if the relationship ended. But why were you already planning for the relationship to end? Because most relationships do end. Or because you weren't fully committed to Jason from the start. I don't want to admit she's right about that. You created a self-fulfilling prophecy, my therapist says. By planning for failure, you guaranteed it would happen. She's absolutely right, and I hate it. I said I wanted a backup boyfriend for safety. He introduced 2 replacements and chose one. And now I understand that you can't have real love while keeping escape routes open. I learned that lesson too late to save what I had with Jason. My mom called after my sister told her what happened. You told Jason you wanted backup boyfriends while dating him. For emotional security. That's not security. That's telling him you're already planning to leave, that you don't believe in the relationship. Even my mum thinks I was completely wrong. I saw Jason and Sarah at a restaurant last week while I was picking up takeout, laughing together, looking happy and connected. He had his hand on hers across the table. I wanted to approach them but couldn't move. What would I even say? They didn't see me. I left quickly before they could. I said I wanted a backup boyfriend for safety. He introduced 2 replacements and picked the better one. And I learned that treating someone as replaceable guarantees they'll replace you with someone better. Too late to save what I had, but learned completely and painfully. Now I'm alone with my lesson, watching Jason build something real with Sarah while I have nothing and no one. The backup plan I insisted on became the reason I ended up with no plan at all. That's my story. That's my lesson. Learned 5 weeks too late.